A little baby black, get that garbage out of here.
What it do, baby?
Yeah, you already know.
There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada.
OG with the look, got it! OG Anunoby at the buzzer!
Oh, like, cause my shot I expected to make it, so like I don't shoot kind of.
Looks like you lost another one.
Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the What I Do Toronto Raptors podcast. My name is Drew Horton, and let's get into it. The Raptors had a bounce-back win tonight over Memphis, 126-113, led by Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, and an outstanding third quarter from Precious Achiuwa. And they managed to come back and win in the second half, outscoring Memphis by 23 in the second half, including outscoring them by 14 in the fourth quarter. Now, Memphis is a good young team that's exciting to watch, led by the electric Ja Morant. But the Raptors got the better of them today. Ja led the way for the Grizz with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals, which is incredible. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 16 points on 75% from the field. Clark had 16 points on 87% shooting, which is unreal. And Desmond Bane had 20 off of 63% shooting, but everybody else failed to deliver on offense, and that was what allowed the Raptors to take the victory. Gary Trent Jr. led the way for Toronto with 26 points. He looked really good on offense. His ability to create his own shot is working wonders, because if they can't get anything on the first, second, or third reads for any given play, they give it to Trent Jr. and he finds a way to put the ball in the bucket. And that's something that the Raptors tend to lack, especially late in games. So it was huge that Trent scored about 14 or so points in the fourth quarter. Fred VanVleet was probably player of the game in my opinion. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks while shooting 9 of 14 from the field. He was outstanding start to finish, and Fred VanVleet is this team's leader, kind of their engine as well, in the same way that Lowry was, and he's filling Lowry's shoes admirably, honestly, so far. Scotty Barnes, Pascal, and Precious Achiuwa all had 17 points on reasonable shooting. Precious Achiuwa standing out because all 17 of Precious Achiuwa's points came in the third quarter. He was just a monster, dominating on ball, setting hard screens, getting into the paint, and just having his way with the Memphis defense. Didn't look amazing in the other 3 quarters for the rest of his minutes, but he was dominant, and that was really needed to get the Raptors back into the game because they trailed by 12 at halftime. The Raptors defense really turned it up in the second half, as in the first half they allowed 32 and 39 points in the first and second quarters respectively, but they only allowed 21 points in each of the third and fourth quarters. A huge defensive turnaround. They made everything harder for the Grizz. Lots of defensive rotations that were cleaned up in the second half, lots of ball pressure. Fred VanVleet, Precious Achiuwa, Siakam all playing very well on defense. Yuta Watanabe was phenomenal on defense in the limited minutes that he played coming back from injury. And the Raptors really used that to turn it into offense, getting fast break possessions and just not letting the Grizzlies get into a rhythm on either end of the floor. And that's a huge reason why they were able to come back and thoroughly sweep the Grizz off the floor in the second half. Post-game, Nick Nurse said about Utah's play in his first game back, "I thought he was awesome. He ran down some loose balls when we were really having trouble doing that. He kept a few alive at the offensive end. He had a great block, just some really good hard play. He was a nice spark tonight, that's for sure." There were a couple of big momentum plays that helped swing the game in the second half, but also one that really kept them alive in kind of the first. Scotty Barnes had a nice moonball 3-point buzzer-beating shot from about half court while he was on the run in the first quarter. That helped the Raptors kind of stay into it and keep some confidence going forward. And then Yuta Watanabe's block, that's got to be play of the game. Dylan Brooks driving from baseline, and Watanabe out of nowhere jumps up, contests, initially called a foul, but after a coach's challenge, it was deemed to be a good block. And if that was in Toronto, the arena would have just gone insane. That was one of the best blocks I've seen this year. One of the biggest things that led to the win is the Raptors' 3-point percentage. They finally beat the opposing team in 3-point shooting. They shot 46% from 3, while the Grizzlies only shot 31, and that's going to be huge for them to win because they've been giving up a lot of open 3-pointers this year because of the defensive scheme that Nurse putting in is new to a lot of the players. And with the defensive scheme that complicated, that relies both on total effort and total chemistry, it's always going to be hard when you've got new moving pieces, especially when you had some of the league's best defensive players in Kawhi Leonard and Marc Gasol on the floor. They just made it so easy to run that scheme. And now the new guys have got to really run it, and the guys that knew it from before, Fred and Pascal and some of those other guys, they're now kind of the leaders of that defense, so they're taking some time to get used to being in that new role. And nights like tonight are when it all goes well, but you also get nights when opponents will outshoot the Raptors double from 3-point land, and all in the name of improvement, but it's going to lead to some tough and hard to watch losses this year. But the goal's a championship, and they're not going to win one this year no matter what they do, so they might as well put the pieces in place going forward. At least that's my opinion. It may not be pretty right now, but the goal isn't to win games in November. It's to win them in June. So whatever you have to do, you do. Now in some other Raptors news, today after the game, Scotty Barnes has officially passed NBA champion and Raptors legend Patrick McCaw on the Toronto Raptors all-time scoring list. But not just one-time champion, the tweet doing him dirty. He is 3-time NBA champion Patrick McCaw. Thank you very much, despite not touching the floor in many playoff games in his team's career. But all that aside, he's still a 3-time NBA champion, and Scotty Barnes still passed him on the list. So this tweet is still technically true. So, we'll go with it. Some more news is that as of about 9 or 10 hours ago, the NBA updated its Rookie of the Year ladder, and it still has Scotty Barnes at number 1, Evan Mobley at number 2, despite him being injured. That will probably change soon. But Cade Cunningham has made a stunning increase after him balling out in the last couple weeks, and he is now 3rd on the list, passing Josh Giddey, Franz Wagner, and Jalen Green on the list. Cade Cunningham early on was kind of around the 9th, 10th, and sometimes even out of the top 10 mark. He struggled early and was hurt early, but now he's finding his rhythm, and he looks really good and more like the player that people thought he was going to be coming in. But according to the list, not the player that Scotty Barnes is. Let's go! Unfortunately, Khem Burch is questionable going forward. He's got some more knee swelling and he didn't play today. I really hope that he's better because we need him back to kind of stabilize the lineup. Because with Precious Achiuwa in, we only have one center. Chris Boucher gets some of those backup minutes, but he's really a 4, and Siakam can kind of play the center sometimes during small ball, so can OG, but since OG is still out, we really need some guys back. That's why it was huge to have Utah Watanabe back today. But we do need all our guys back if we want any hope of making it into the play-in. So hopefully everybody is healthy soon. But Khem Burch, questionable / day-to-day at the moment. Now, news that is only tangentially related to the Toronto Raptors. A little while ago, Aaron Rodgers was fined $14,600 for his kind of misleading of his vaccination status to the media and to, I think, the NFL as well. I think the Packers knew that he wasn't vaccinated, but the rest of the league didn't, and the fans didn't. He tried to get away with it with some kind of lie by omission type things, which, all right, Aaron, you pulled one over on us. He's called himself a critical thinker, and, well, I suppose that's what he thinks he's doing. I bring that up because Fred VanVleet got fined $15,000 for his big cojones celebration a couple weeks ago, and if that doesn't say it all right there. Anyway, I bring that up because recently Aaron Rodgers has a new symptom of COVID. He's got COVID toe. It's one of the body parts that can be affected by COVID, and it's some yellowing and some pain. So he's got COVID toe, but he also has dumb ass. It's very, very unfortunate. So hopefully he recovers from both. I wish you well, Aaron, but I wish you'd stop taking medical advice from Joe Rogan. To end on a high note, Kyle Lowry has recently been quoted as saying, like I've said, and I'll say it now, I will sign a one-day contract and I will retire as a Toronto Raptor. That is my everything, end quote. And that's just amazing. Just says it all, how much respect that Kyle Lowry has for the city, the organization, the team, his former teammates, and hey, the city embraces him just as much. You really embraced the city while you were here, and the city has embraced you right back, as well as the entire Raptor Nation fan base. So from us to you, we love you, and your jersey is hanging in the banners first. That I can almost guarantee. A quick edit in post-production. Because I am petty, I just want to quote a stat on the year. I have the same amount of points, rebounds, assists, and plus minus as Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving combined. That's all. Thank you for listening to this episode of the What I Do Toronto Raptors podcast. I've been your host, Drew Horton, signing off. Peace.